This is not a personal crusade. This is business. And you need to know your rights and obligations while on the Earth adventure. So here we go. In the book Far Journeys, Bob Monroe describes something he calls Loosh. Loosh is something so valuable that off-world engineers designed the Earth to harvest it. Quote, someone, somewhere, or both, in millions or uncountable, requires, likes, needs, values, collects, drinks, eats, or uses as a drug, a substance ident Loosh. Electricity, oil, oxygen, gold, wheat, water, land, old coins, uranium. This is a rare substance in somewhere, and those who possess Loosh find it vital for whatever it is they use it for. Faced with the question of supply and demand, a universal law of somewhere, someone decided to produce it artificially, so to speak, rather than search for it in its natural form. He decided to build a garden and grow Loosh. In its natural state, Loosh was found to originate from a series of vibrational actions in the carbon-oxygen cycle, and the residue was Loosh in various states of purity. It occurs only during such action and secondarily during the reactive process. Prospectors from somewhere range far and wide in search of Loosh sources, and new discoveries were hailed with much enthusiasm and great reward. And so it was, until someone and his garden changed all of this. End of quote. Bob Monroe just gave you the back office version of the book of Genesis. He gave you the why of Genesis. This place, our earth, and everything in it was designed to grow something called Loosh. But what's Loosh? Loosh is emotional energy, the energy from emotion. Emotion is a natural, instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or your relationships with other people. Your state of mind is then transmitted in all directions, including inward, inside of you. In the case of harvesting emote Loosh, the someone discovered, well, first off, he discovered that the best emote Loosh producers were the experimental beings ident human. It was also discovered that emote Loosh was released in massive amounts at the moment of death, and while in conflict or protecting its offspring, its children. It was also discovered that a human protecting its child not only makes Loosh, but a more purified version of it. You see, up until that time, all Loosh required distilling to get to a usable level of refinement, but not here. And as you may have guessed already, that got someone's attention. And when someone got back to the scene on Earth, the situation got even more interesting. Because even though a human protecting his young as babies produced high-grade emote Loosh, it wasn't enough to account for all the high-grade Loosh they were getting. It's like, how can I put this? Imagine you got a raise at your job, all right? You got a raise at work, but when you got paid, there was more money than what you were expecting. It was twice as much. And neither your employer nor your bank knows where the hell the money came from. So someone decided to go out and have a look for it itself. And as someone hovered over its garden, someone finally realized where the high-grade emote Loosh was coming from. As it turns out, the humans who were emitting all this refined Loosh were lonely. They were lonely. And then, when the humans saw the someone hovering over them, the humans then fell on their faces, started crying in awe and reverence, which produced even more highly refined emote Loosh. So, humans are the most efficient emote Loosh producers. Death makes emote Loosh. Conflict makes emote Loosh. Fear for your children makes high-grade emote Loosh. Unfulfillment and loneliness makes more high-grade emote Loosh. And fear of God also makes high-grade emote Loosh. Now, can you guess what happened after all this new information was processed and put to use? You should. You're effing living in it. But we're going to end this video by giving you the point of view, the overview from the engineer's point of view. High-grade distilled emote Loosh is generated in humans by the act of unfulfillment. The unfulfillment must vibrate at a rate higher than the noise of daily life, or no Loosh will form. And the opposite holds true as well. So the more intense the unfulfillment, the more high-grade Loosh. To further this end, humans were first split into halves, male and female. This created loneliness as they tried to reunite again. Second, humans were encouraged to breed and live by rules of dominance. Fast forward to the current time. Someone and their team have evolved an entire software suite. And the more common tools that the software uses are named love, friendship, family, greed, hate, pain, guilt, disease, pride, ambition, ownership, possession, sacrifice. And on a larger scale, you have nations, all isms, wars, famine, religion, machines, freedom, industry, and trade, just to name a few.
How many patients are there?
They're not patients.
But they're sick.
They were born sick. They're meant to be sick. They exist to be sick. Lab rats. No wonder the sisters have got a cure for everything. They built the ultimate research laboratory. A human farm.